Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Not sure when this video is going to come out, but just wanted to say, hope you guys have an amazing holiday break. Here's my team for December. It's taken me a while to kind of go through everything and plan out what I want to do. Hope you enjoy. Mate, can you believe it's December already? The players have been back for what, 3 or 4 weeks, and then they get a holiday break. And then, hey, presto, it is now January afterwards. There's 2 or 3 weeks left for the players to come back. And just before I go into the team, I want to show you guys some of the things that we've got coming up. We're going to go through all of the teams, kind of look at each player, the primos, the rookies, the mid-prices you guys should be looking at. Going to go through each line of the Supercoach team this year, which defenders I'm looking at, which defender mid-prices I'm looking at as well. The guys that you need to track through the preseason. That's the same for midfielders, for forwards, and the ruckman as well. Though there isn't many ruck mid-prices. There's only one, and he currently features in my team, not in the position that I've seen some other people have. Let's go through the team. I'll kind of explain each thing. I think this year, definitely guns and rookies is the way to go. It has taken me a while to make a team, and I think the biggest thing with that has been just trying to fit everybody in. Yes, they came out 3% reduction in price, 3%, reduction in price there. But with the extra flex pick, and I think just the players this year really do seem appropriately priced. I think last year we had a few cheapy guys like Whitfield, Nick Martin, a few others who kind of went underneath the Supercoach radar, maybe got a discount or maybe just weren't as appropriately priced or, kind of broke out. I don't think there's that many of these type of players this year. So you're paying top dollar, even though the guys are cheaper. So top dollar, mate. Let's have a look at my team. We'll start from the back line. Now, the back line this year is a position that I think, similar to the forward line, has the most value. Yes, there are some fantastic mid-prices in the midfield, and we'll talk about those today. And we'll put out a video during the week, next week as well, of which guys I'm looking at, blah, blah, blah. But so many cheap guys. Mills, Coleman, a lot of people talking about Sin and a few of these other guys, not even including a few of the rookies as well, who maybe are coming back from injury, maybe have been in the system a little while. He's looking at you, Saad El Houahi. I know Joe is going to be very, very happy with his performance this year. Mate, it's a bit of a ripper. I'm going to start the back line off. Big Harry Sheezel. Now, I'm a North fan. Everyone knows that. I've got the gear up the back so you guys can see it. But Harry Sheezel's on fire. And I don't even think he is 21 yet. Nick Dacos kind of jumped out of nowhere again last year. I'm not going to say out of nowhere, but went kablamo again. Harry Sheezel does not have an early buy like Nick Dacos does and did last year, which kind of kept a few people off him. I just think he's going to go to another level. And that's why he's in my team. I've seen some people not pick him, but it is what it is, right? Another guy that I think is going to go to another level is Colby McKercher. Now, if you've been watching the channel, I rave about this kid. I love North Melbourne. I love Colby McKercher. Was it pick 3 in the draft? The kid's phenomenal. We know what he can do. We know some of the big scores he's had. Has been training a lot off halfback. Has been building his fitness. His ball skills are elite. Everything's elite about this kid. I think he's just going to go to another level. In 2025, I really see him playing halfback, and I really, really see him playing potentially a wing/midfield spot as well, just somewhere where he can run, because the highlights from 2024 have him running up and down, up and down, up and down, and using his elite kicks to set up goals. And if he can do that for us, that'd be fantastic. Now, I'm going a little bit cheaper, and if we scroll down a little bit, don't tell me I've missed him. 3. Oh, I think I have. Callum Mills comes in at D3. And I really do think the back line is where we're going to save a little bit of money, because I am paying up a little bit more in the forward line this year. Callum Mills, we all know the story, had a bit of injuries, came back. Constanzi, who now plays at North Melbourne, did his shoulder in I think it was the preseason last year, kind of set Callum Mills back quite far. And I just think with the new coach, current captain of the team, unless something's changed and I don't know about it, he's on fire. Maybe not going back to 110 plus averages, but similar to a few other players in this team, if you can get 150k out of Callum Mills, you're doing very well. Caleb Daniel, who's currently in my forward line, is probably going to be close to 100% picked. I wouldn't be surprised if Mills dominates preseason. Preseason games, we get the stats, we get the Supercoach scores. If he comes out and scores big, he's going to be a similar position. Another player who was a premium that a lot of people are going to be putting into their team. Let me find you, mate. Is Kadeem Coleman coming in at D4? Injuries, ACLs, everything's been happening. Hopefully, he kind of shores up a little bit. He is, competing with guys like McKenna in that back line, and I think we saw that a little bit last year with some people that did pick him at a defender price and thought, hey, look, he's going to put him out of the way. Early injuries, of course, but there is a lot of competition in that premiership side. Biggest thing with me and Coleman and Brisbane is, one, can he stay away from being injured? And then second thing, is there a position for him in the team? Or are Brisbane going to push him through the VFL and say, hey, mate, there's no pressure. We've just come in one. We've got guys who can cover it. Maybe Fletcher comes in there, maybe Marshall, a few of these other players. Just go slow. I really do think that could happen. So it's something to watch over the preseason. We do have a couple of rookies coming through. Let me just pull them up. Big Bo Allen. Very, very happy that he ended up at West Coast being a WA boy. I think he will feature early and does seem to be very fit. So he's a lock in my team unless something happens that way. Just kind of filling out the rest of the team with defenders who I think will probably play. There's a lot of hype about Booslinger at the moment. I really do think this kid's very, very special. A lot of teams were after him in the trade period, but he decided to stay on. He's re-signed or at least extended for a couple more years and make preseason highlights in December of what he does. Very, very, very good. So hopefully he does well for us there. Another Sard from Essendon into my team. We're very, very lucky that he did not feature after the mid-season draft because he would probably be about 300k right now. And that's the quality level of player. DPP is fantastic, but I just think he's going to be phenomenal. And Essendon needs to change a lot in that back line to be competitive, and he's one of those players. I'm going to finish off the team with Bice, VFL player, on to Sydney. I just think he's going to play. You generally don't bring in mature age guys from the VFL if you're going to, not play them. And I do think there's going to be a bit of a shake-up, similar to what I was saying with Mills, with Cox coming in, changing a few things around. Sydney, yes, they did make the grand final, but that back line, I feel it ever since Lloyd started playing a little bit further up and stopped being that seagull for us like 2 or 3 years ago, there's something wrong with that back line. Maybe they were trying to do something similar to the Dogs with Blakey being Daly Dale and a few of these other players, but there's potential for him to play in there. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to do something that's a little bit crazy. Marcus Bontempelli. Now, when I started to make this Supercoach team, I was looking at it and being like, who can I pick as my keepers in the side? Who are guys that, thick and thin, even if he drops 30, 40, 50K, we know we're going to get similar to a captaincy score every week. And there's Bevo's gone off the rocker, McRae's left, Bailey, Smith's left, a few of these other players have left. Does Bont get shafted forward? Well, maybe he kicks a couple more goals, so that works out quite nice for us. I've gone Bont, unless Bont shows me later on that, hey, don't pick me. Next one up on the list is Zach Butters. Similar thing as well. There's a lot of very cheap players in the midfield. That's something I found last year was you need to lock in a few more of these type of players. Get some guys that you can just hold on to. Guys that, hey, when we're making our starting team, guys that you probably won't be wanting to trade throughout the year. If I look at McKercher, there's potential. If I look at Mills, there's potential. Heck, I'm not keeping Coleman or any of those rookies. Bontempelli, Butters, and the guy who I'm going to pick now, Caleb Sarong, another guy that can be a captain or vice captaincy option. But if you look at a lot of Frio's games, especially at the start of the season, there's a lot of later games. And he has a perfect bye. He's going to play most of the first rounds. So he's going to play basically all of the rounds early. Has round 13 bye. So you're onto a winner there. I was very upset not starting him after having him in my starting team last year, and it really hurt. I think he had 3 goes of 130, 120, 115, a couple more, and then I ended up having to pay up for him. So, heck, locking Caleb Sarong, 620k. And Freo, sneaky pick for a grand finalist this year. They have a lot of early games that are very, very good. Lock in those wins. Caleb Sarong is one of those players. I've seen a few people pick Jordan Clark, a few people pick Hayden Young for a similar reason as well. If they push up the ladder, it is him and Sean Darcy, who potentially we're going to see at R2 this year, are guys that need to be scoring well. Now, looking at the rest of my team, I have decided to go a little bit cheaper, getting in some of that value at 400k, or between 4 and 500. Video coming out over the next week or so of guys that I am looking at. Will Day is that player. Now, last year injuries killed him, and he was in my team. But if Hawks are going to be pushing up the ladder, like I really can see them doing it, Meek, a few of these other players kind of doing that. Sicily moving around a little bit, but Barras, guys, let me know who the other one was. I just think he's going to do well. And we've seen him get to 600k. Will Day, get in my team. If you're fit, I'll watch you through the preseason, but he's the one to look for. Similar to the one to look for, guys who I think may be doing well in the preseason. Clayton Oliver. Now, 450k. Clayton Oliver. Like, this guy was like 630 last year. People still picked him. 450k. If you can stay fit. Now, there is a big if. If you can stay fit, chuck him in your team. He might be good for 100k, but you're going to get some decent scoring out of him. Melbourne might not be as good as some people have kind of predicted them to be, but I do think he's going to be a good value price there. There are a couple of other players who potentially you can look at around there. Saligo, Chera, Trent Rivers I've seen in a few teams, heck, even a Massimo. And there are a couple there as well, and we'll talk about those in the next episode. But Oliver's the one for me. Now, looking at players who were drafted this year, there are some exceptional guns. I'll kind of go through the top 10 and say Supercoach relevant or not. But Finn O'Sullivan is not one of those players for me this year. Fantastic player, does very well, but I just don't think he's going to get as much of the ball as we need in Supercoach to be that type of player. The one player who I am looking at the moment is Sid Draper. Now, Sid Draper is a beast, running for days, and just doing very, very well in the preseason. We know what Adelaide was looking for with pick 4 from him. They got it, obviously. And I do think he's one of those players. I'm more than happy to run him at M6 and just laugh the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens there, but he's my pick at the moment. Similar to that, Levi Ashcroft, he saw his brother win the premiership last year, and I just think he's going to push as hard as he can. There's a position for him in that team to do well, and hopefully that means well for us as well. Similar to that as well, Josh Smiley, I've seen some really good preseason footage of him. Really nice midfield bull type player, but accumulator as well. So we'll see what happens. But he's one in my team at the moment. Finishing out the rest of the team, we've got Xavier Lindsay, and then we go super cheap. Let me just find him. Dev Rob. I mean, mate, you could have gone to WA. You re-signed again at Brisbane. They better bloody play you. Similar to that as well. I've just gone someone cheap. Neil Erasmus. We'll see how we go. Save the team unless something randomly happens. We're going to go into the rucks and the forward line now. So rucks, as you guys seen from the thumbnail, the guy that we all should have picked last year, 400k, Tristan Jerry, get in my team. I do think there is potential that he's going to have a tiny bit of score loss. I have seen some people talking about it, and I think that might end up happening just with the midfield getting better. You've got guys like Wardlaw, Sheasel, heck, McHurch is in there. Tom Powell's going to run through there, Jai Simpkin, a few others. He might not get as many tackles, but what he will get is hit outs to advantage, and hopefully that can even itself out there. Currently, I have Tom DeConning as my R2. I'm more than happy to save some cash and throw Sean Darcy in there, but I found R2 to be really weird this year. If you look at some of the players, right, you've got Nankervis, Rowan Marshall, even English at 580k, guys who burnt me in the past quite hard. Rowan Marshall's apparently playing a lot of forward line. They're looking at bringing in VFL Ruckman as a main ruck for Richmond, as main ruck for St Kilda. So we'll see what happens with that. But I've got no confidence. I was very, very set on Lloyd Meek. I was upset that I didn't pick him last year and just have the massive run, 350k. We know what he can do, and he seems to be good for a goal a game as well. Hawthorn really do like to use him as a forward marking target, and that's just what we've seen so far, and we saw that from last year. But the early buy killed me. So maybe that kicks me off Will Day as well. We'll see what happens. Tom DeConning, as long as Pitnet doesn't play, could be an option. If not, Sean Darcy, move down the list. We'll find someone there. Who do I have? I think I've just got a throwaway player at the moment until that St Kilda guy comes through. So we'll save so far. Forward line. Now, I was looking to be a little bit more stacked in the forward line. It's obviously December, so there's a long way to go. But there's a couple of players in here. Isaac Rankin, 100%. Dylan Moore, another one, that I'm just not sure where they're going to play. They've got so many players running through that team now. Guys who are coming back from injury. Guys who are looking to push. I mean, heck, we've got Cumming, Peatling, and a few others all trying to take Rankin's midfield time. I'm not going to pick it at 520K. If it's preseason game 1, does well. I don't think they're playing round 0, but after round 0, hey, look, he's a must-have. Cool. I'll fiddle around with the team and put him in there. But at the moment, it is a no from me. I hate to say, Horn Francis, number 1 lock. Very, very lucky not to get him in the midfield as a forward option last year because I had no trades. And he did very, very well. But Supercoach right now, super lock, similar to a Butters, is just going to another level. And we know the quality of player he was. Yes, North Melbourne lost a good player, but we got Sheasel and Warlaw out of it. So you can't really complain there. The quality of play is 100% there. Next one up on the list is Jack McRae. I just think the guy's going to be a beast this year. There are a lot of competition, and I do have Philippou in my team. Similar story. There are a lot of competition in that St Kilda midfield, but I just don't think McRae can play anywhere else. And he didn't go to the Saints to go play forward again. So McRae, ready to go there. Bailey Smith is the next player. Rodney, if you're watching, Rodney from work, big Geelong fan. I've shared some Bailey Smith stuff with him, and yeah, he's a fantastic player. If he can stay fit, I think he's a gem at that price. And similar to a lot of these forward line players, we're looking for guys who we can lock in at 300-400K as keepers that we don't need to worry about, that we can now use the cash for all of these other positions that we need to fill, because we will need to fill the other positions. F4 is Big Mateus Philippou. I did not have him in my Supercoach team last year, and every time he got the ball, I was just upset. So, Mateus, you're in the team until you show me that you do not need to be in the team, which I think will only happen if he gets kicked out of a midfield spot. Jack Steele, if you watched a lot of the preseason stuff, basically said, hey, we need to go and fix our midfield. Mateus, Cheeto Owens, a few of these other guys running through that midfield alongside McRae and a few of more of other players I really do think are going to be the engine that they need to do. Darcy Wilson being another one of those players, I don't think he's leaving. So we'll see what happens there. Caleb Daniel, number 1 picked player in Supercoach this year. You have to play him. Big North Melbourne fan. You go and watch him at training. Pinpoint accuracy everywhere on field. They're going to use him as that distributor off halfback alongside McKercher, I think, who may rotate. I've spoken about that before, but Caleb Daniel, 269K. Thank you, Bevo. Thank you for not playing him too much last year. So he's cheap. That's all I can say. I'm filling off the rest of my team with Tom Lynch, who apparently has come back in ripping form. So similar to a Taylor Walker a couple of years ago, guys are cheap. We're not going to keep them forever. But if you can pop out a couple of hundreds, kick a few goals, heck, Richmond's going to need everyone down in that forward line. Tom Lynch is the one. I do think he'll be okay. If not, chuck him in someone else. We've got Narkle, who's cheap. Got Jack Martin, who's cheap. There's a few other players who are cheap as well. Easy swap. It's not round 1. We just make the team. Dan Curtin is another player who I was actually quite surprised. The guy's supposed to be a defender, or at least was drafted as a defender. Now he's a forward eligible player. Hey, I'll take it. There you go. Last one on my list there is Elijah Hewitt coming back from injury. Let's just go Hewitt. Coming back from injury, I do think there's a spot for him in the team. West Coast need to bolster. They need to do a lot. Feels a bit like North Melbourne a couple of years ago, kind of filling out all the positions. And with a few older players in the team, they need to refresh that. Hewitt was a early draft pick, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, not too bad there. Similar to a West Coast type player, I have gone Flynn as my flex. Apparently, he's going to go and play pure ruck. BJ Williams did quite well, but a lot of people are saying Flynn. So we'll jump on that. We'll reassess in the preseason. guys, that is my team. Beazle, McKercher, Mills, everyone there, Kadeen, Coleman, Bo Allen, Bont, Butters, Sarong, Will Day, Oliver, Draper, Ashcroft, Smiley, Cherry, DeConning, bloody DeConning. Hopefully Pittenhett doesn't play. Horn, Francis, McRae, Smith, Philippou, Daniel, Tom Lynch, and Flynn in the flex. Guys, let me know down in the comments. Big J, hey, these players you have brought into your team, they're nonsense. What are you talking about? As if you don't know who the Hawks brought in. I'm not a Hawks fan. I can tell you who North Melbourne brought in the trade period, but that's just how it is. Guys, got a lot of content coming out. Joe's currently on holidays, so post in the comments. Joe, we need you back. There's a few other things happening as well. So stay tuned. Got a lot of preseason content to go. Hopefully you guys have had a fantastic holiday break. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Catch you in the next one. Because guys, here at the Centre Bounce 2025, we do the hard work so you guys don't have to. Bye for now.